is the 42nd episode. This is the first segment, which is the Relentless Food for Thought segment with me. And so my topic today is, many of you have been watching know that I'm going through like a massive reset and kind of transitional period. 2019 has been a huge shift for me, starting with selling my house and my studio in Cave Creek, actually. See, I'd forgotten already. Moving down to Central Phoenix for 6 months, and then finally moving to North Phoenix, where I've just reset up my studio here in North Phoenix. And so I've had massive change this year. You know, I've rehomed 4 animals. I've moved 3 times. I've rebranded my company. I started Relentless Talk Radio last November, so I've been going through the process of starting from internet radio and then going to podcast and then switching it where I'm shooting Relentless Talk Radio live on Facebook. It goes to YouTube and soon to podcast and then to, of course, internet radio. So reversing the process. So 2019 has been like a giant shift and transition for me. And so part of what happens when you have that kind of massive change is that you have a drop in productivity because you're moving and shifting and changing and all your stuff's in boxes, right? And so now I'm settled in my studio. Yay, okay? I've gone through my first fitness competition. I'm recalibrating and moved from rebranding my company from, hey, John, how are you? And moving from Micalizzi Enterprise, Fearlessly Deliver, which is my former company, to Micalizzi Enterprises, which is the over company of all of the projects that I'm working on. So right now I'm working on rebranding my company, redoing my websites universally, which as those of you who are business owners know what a huge task that is, and kind of looking again at, you know, what is my point and what is my lead projects. I'm still taking consulting projects, but you'd have to beg me to take a consulting project at this point. I have basically eliminated traditional consulting from my service list. So now that I'm in my studio and I'm ready to go, this is the first week where I really feel like I'm ready to go. Over the past couple of weeks, I've been really talking about being honest about, you know, having brain fog and just like, holy crap, like everything's real, right? So what I always default back to is time blocking. And so I revisited the concept of time blocking, because those of you who know me know that if you look at my schedule, I can tell you what I did when I was 8 at 3 o'clock today. I've always been a time blocker, just kind of the way my mind is wired. I know that there's only 24 hours in a day. I have to sleep 6 to 8 of them. I need to have time to eat, to work out, to pray, to spend time with family and friends. And so the rest of the time that's available for work, I want it to be really productive. So I'm a time blocker. I always have been. And so I kind of re-looked at that concept. And there's a really great book by Cal Newport called Deep Work. I read it a couple of years ago. I revisited it today and just kind of rethought about some of the concepts that he covered in that book. Time blocking is basically taking your calendar and building out chunks of time for every activity. For some folks, this is really counterintuitive to do that. A lot of people live by to-do lists and just free-for-all it. But what I find is when I time block, I'm far more productive. People ask me constantly all the time, Michelle, I don't understand how you get so much done between the radio show and making, producing, writing, and creating my art, serving my clients, being an isogenics consultant, and being a send-out cards consultant. I have lots of different projects going on simultaneously in lots of different directions. So Micalizzi Enterprises footprint is very wide and it's very deep, and so I've got to be very specific about my tasks. And so some of the things that I revisited today when I was looking at his thought is the quality of your work goes up when you can take the time and you can multiply that by intense focus. So one of the things that I've learned is that I'm best with project work in the morning. Okay, so when I wake up in the morning, the first thing I do is I write 3 morning pages. I get up at 4:30. I come into the day slow. Some people, you know, my partner likes to turn all the lights on and turn Van Halen on the radio. For me, I need a couple candles. I need to get my cup of coffee. I need to get my protein bar. I eat isogenics protein bars or a shake in the morning, and sit down with my book and just stream, you know, free flow consciousness and just start writing for 3 pages. When I'm done with that, then I can start my day. That's kind of the way I wake up, right? And so I've learned that because I've gotten myself into a calm state, the best thing for me to do is to pray, and then do a project session. So most days during the week, I start my day off with a 3-hour project session, and I'm very specific about the projects I'm working on and what I'm doing in those projects. I use Trello as a project management tool. There's lots of different project management tools, but I use a combination of Trello and Salesforce. So what I do is I have all of the tasks I have all broken up, and every day that I have a work session, I know exactly what project I'm working on and exactly what to-dos I have to do for that project. So I have a 3-hour session. I am super productive. Then I go to yoga. I take a second and I dump it, right? And I clear my brain. And when I come back from yoga, I've showered, I've cleared my head, I've fed my body, have myself something else to eat, usually a shake, and then I get back into a work session, which is usually more of a shallow task, which for me is conversations, a call session, prospecting, and meeting with clients or prospects. To me, that is not, the focus is different than for me if I'm doing a project session. So one of the things that he talked about was that if you want your, I'm looking at my notes here. He really talks about this a lot in all of his books. He has 6 books, and comes from the IT background, about how we've gotten so used to doing shallow tasks like social media, which is to me a shallow task, right? I'm not saying shallow like it can be shallow, like not deep. I don't know. The shallow to me means using less of my brain capacity, right? Writing a blog uses all of my brain capacity. Painting uses all of my brain capacity. Rebuilding a website uses all of my brain capacity. But when I am doing my social media posting, or I'm doing a meeting with somebody, that's more of a shallow task. But we have a lot of blurbs of things happening in our life. And what he says is that if you continue to focus on shallow tasks, overly focus on shallow tasks like social media, it inhibits your ability to do deep work. And I've noticed over the past couple of years that's true for me, because I've been using social media as a tool. And so I've now started to block off which times of the day I'm allowed to do social media. And I will put my phone down and stay away from it the other times, because I know if I focus too much there, I get foggy and floaty. So I've learned that over the past couple of years. So in my time blocking, I focus on, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 areas, okay? The first thing I do is I put my high-level activities into my calendar. So you're going to not believe this, because people think I'm a workaholic, and I probably am. But the first thing I put into my schedule is my workout time. And my prayer time, my spiritual work, my workout time, my time with Doc and family and friends. Because if you haven't got that, you haven't got a life. Those things are the most important things. Taking care of your health, taking care of your mental health, your physical health, your spiritual health, and your family is the most important thing. It's the reason why you work. We don't work and then do those things. Those are the reasons why we work. So I put those things in first. My friends, my family, my partner, my health, mentally, physically, spiritually, comes first all the time. And then I build work around that. So when I'm doing work, I break it into projects, which are deep functioning, like I was just talking about, and I break it into shallow functioning, which I do in the afternoon. I also have found something over the years. Those of you who know me know I'm a professional networker. I know a ton of people. I'm networking. When I'm in my networking mode, I'm everywhere. But what I've discovered is if I allow my networking calendar to control my calendar, I never get any real work done. You have to actually say, listen, these are the hours I'm networking, and try to get people really hard. Try to get them to work with your schedule as far as where you're able to network. And then if they're unable to do that, and there's someone that you really feel is worth it, quite frankly. I mean, there's only so many hours in the day. There's someone that you really feel networking with them is a good idea for them and for you, then you can make a switch in your calendar, be flexible. But try to decide when the best times of day are for you to meet with people that are prospects, that are networking people, that are collaborating people, people that you're building relationships with. So you don't have those meetings controlling your schedule, because you need to be able to get to projects, and you need to get to prospecting, sales calls, and helping and dealing with your customers and the stuff that makes what you do work, right? The next thing that I do is, and I've talked about it already, is I know that I put my project work in the morning and I put my shallow tasks in the afternoon. But I also build a power hour into the evening. So like for my Isagenix clients, a lot of those folks are working during the day. And so I have a power hour at night where I'll meet with Isagenix folks and talk with them about diet and exercise and the program, or I'll meet with Send Out Card folks and I'll talk with them about that, or I'll meet with one of my Business Alliance clients. So I have lots of different things that I'm doing simultaneously, but at night I have a power hour work session Monday through Thursday, where after I'm done with dinner, I have 1 hour. I set a timer. I don't let it suck my entire evening up. My partner knows that I have an hour after work where I'm doing something, and then I put my phone down. I know, I've had to really train myself to do it. I put my phone down. And if I am picking my phone up, it's to read something that's filling my spirit, or it's to communicate with my family and friends. It's not to be prospecting or helping a client or that kind of thing, because you have to have separation in your life. And then I also create a buffer. That's the other thing that's really important. You have to have a travel buffer. I try to build in my travel time. I check what my travel time is as much as possible. I'm constantly late because I'm stuck in traffic. And so I'm learning to build more and more of a buffer in my schedule. And I also know when I have to be strategically late, because it's just the way it's going to be. I also build time in for downtime where I'm just doing nothing. Absolutely nothing. I don't even put anything in there. I have a time block where it's like whatever. It's a whatever block. It's a let your mind wander. It's a clean the bathroom block. It's whatever it is, right? And it's to keep your sanity. Absolutely, Janet. Janet just is commenting. She's saying, yes, buffers keep your sanity. If you don't build buffers in, you are super duper going to be a crazy person. And I've been that crazy person where I forgot to build the buffer in, and I was running around and I'm hopping out the door with one shoe on, and I'm already late, and that's going to happen sometimes. But build buffers in as much as you possibly can, and build overflow days in. So twice a month, I make an overflow day for Saturday. I kind of let my partner know that I potentially might have to do some work this Saturday. You can work on motorcycles and I can do a painting. You can work on motorcycles and I can do this. You can go hang out with your friends and I'm going to do this, right? Because I need to have that extra time frame. If I can't get everything during the week, I have a work session on Saturday afternoon in between yoga and my gym schedule where I can build a buffer time in. And then you got to revise as needed. So I put everything in my schedule, but I also know, like this morning, I was just too tight to do yoga this morning. I went to the gym first. I'll do yoga tonight. Just flip it, right? But you actually have to flip that stuff in your calendar so you don't miss it, right? And as a personal trainer, I would tell people, if you do not put your workout schedule into your calendar, it will not happen. It just won't. Dinner won't happen. Your workout schedule won't happen. Time with your spouse or significant other is not going to happen. Calling your dad and mom, I have put that into my schedule, actually, to call my dad once a week and make sure I have a decent conversation with my father at a time where he's up and available for me, right? He's 86 years old. Then the last thing I want to say is, and this is something huge for me, I have stopped taking telephone calls. I know you're going to think I'm crazy, but it's absolutely true. I have stopped taking telephone calls. If you want to get a hold of me, you have to leave a message. Because the telephone is one of the biggest distractors. I get so many spam calls and so many people calling me that if you want to talk to me, you have to leave a message and tell me exactly why you're calling, exactly when I can get back to you, and then I will call you from within a call session. Or I'll text you and say, hey, here's a link to my calendar. Make an appointment for a 15-minute call. So I am putting calls on my calendar that I can predict. I am asking people to make appointments for me for telephone calls, and I've stopped picking the phone up. Because it just absolutely, I know a lot of people have done this. There's so many calls that come in that are time suckers. And so if you're somebody worthy of my time, and I don't mean that to be condescending or like a pain in the ass, what I'm saying to you is that there's only 24 hours in a day, and I can't spend my time on the phone with a telemarketer. I just can't. So if you're somebody that I've called and you're calling me back, I ask you to let me know when I can call you back, and I'll call back. That's just the way it is. So we're going to talk with Janet O'Connell and with Ryan Ingram today about their businesses and who they are and what they do. But I'm also going to ask them about how they've time blocked through transition, because I find that in transition, when I default back to my time block, that's how I get back into hyper productivity. Right now, I've been in brain fog for a month, at least a month of real serious brain fog. I am like pulling myself out of that brain fog to get back into productivity. So I'm going to sign off now. I'm going to go pick up Janet. Janet, I'm on my way to come get you. And sign back on for segment 2 with Janet McConnell, which is the health and fitness segment. Thanks a lot, everybody.